Welcome to Nokia's LinkedIn live stream. Today we're discussing operators' need to improve network efficiency. And we're talking about how Nokia is a trusted partner to help them do just that. My name is Stephanie Gibbons. Joining me today is a few of our leading energy efficiency experts at Nokia. I have Mohammed here, Head of Sustainable Products. I have Kamal, who's our Head of Global SaaS Business Development for Ava Energy Efficiency, and also Nabil, Head of Analytics Services and Portfolios. Thanks to each of you for joining today. It's good to see you.
Likewise.
Great.
All right.
All right, so jumping right in, sustainability. It's top of mind for operators today. So according to the International Energy Agency, the telecom industry itself accounts for almost 1.5% of global electricity use. So really to help address this and to help lower this percentage, CSPs are introducing more power efficient equipment into their network. They're also working really hard over the last several years to retire legacy infrastructure. And they're doing this as a way to help reduce CO2 emissions and really to improve that network energy consumption. So these are efficient actions to take, of course, but we do believe that the largest savings opportunity may come from integrating artificial intelligence, from integrating AI into the network across all domains. So at Nokia, we can help our operator customers address these sustainability targets. So with this in mind, I'd really love to turn this conversation over now to our experts here. Let's ask your opinions about what you're seeing in the market and how Nokia can really help address the sustainability challenge we all face today. So, Mohammed, I'm putting you in the hot seat first. All right.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good afternoon.
Good to see you. Tell me, why do you think it's so important for operators to really take a look at their network spend right now to kind of control this network spend?
Absolutely. This is actually quite important topics. Whenever we actually discuss with the operators, top managements, and also in every levels, their top priority at the moment is about these energies. What is happening in the world today is starting from beginning of these years. It's quite unprecedented. The way we look at it is two aspects. That means there is a segments of this climate perspective. There is a segments of also from these OpEx pressures of the network spendings. If we look at these climate perspectives, most of our operators, they are actually very committed with their climate actions and also their commitments towards these net zeros. And within the ESG frameworks, they're already addressing this scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions categories. And step by step, they're actually heading into that directions. But of course, this sustainability and also towards this net zero, it is quite expensive propositions. And because of that, they have to actually look through it step by step. In terms of these real values, that means how much they're actually spending. If you look at a mid-sized operators, telecom operators, they're actually consuming up to 300 to 350 gigawatt hours of electricity in a year. And then with the rising electricity cost, if you look in UK market, we saw that around in the beginning of the year, the per unit kilowatt hour cost, it was around 0.13 GBPs. But now, after 6 months, it is actually increased threefold. That means almost 0.39 GBP per kilowatt hour. So if an operator is consuming 300 and 350 gigawatt hour electricity in a year, we can see that their OpEx is almost tripled. Yeah. What we need is, in terms of these solutions towards the customer, and our customers are in need of this kind of solution, end-to-end reductions of the energies. And this is where we see that if end-to-end energy consumptions or solutions is actually provided to the customer, they can reduce up to 50% of their existing energy consumptions ratios. That's a huge winning proposition for our customers.
That's quite a data point. Thank you for that, Mohammed. With that in mind, Nabil, from where you sit in Nokia, how would you add to that question?
Yeah, hi, Stephanie. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Before I kick it off from my side, let me thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure to talk about such a relevant topic for all of us, right, which is sustainability and energy saving. As you mentioned, Stephanie, it's top of mind for everybody that CSPs are under tremendous pressure, as Mohammed was saying. And just to add on top of it, they have pressure from different angles, from customer, from regulator, from government to really take the climate action, right? I remember when I started my current assignment a year ago, Kemal will recognize, and Mohammed as well, while we were talking to customers about energy savings, it was something nice to have. Currently has become a business imperative, right? So CSPs are looking for really the way how to address this in very short period of time. We've seen many reports from quite famous analyst firm talking about half of network OPEX from the CSP is energy. That's a big number. Also, at the same time, GSMA also shared that OPEX item from the CSP that will be going in crescendo trend the upcoming 3 years is energy. So what I'm trying to say is it's an easy problem statement to articulate. And that's why customers are addressing us and asking for support. So basically, the thing that recently it's quite visible. It's I was today listening to the town hall from our CEO saying there is no green without digitalization or no green without being digital, and here is completely applicable. CSPs, and Mohammed knows very well from the PLM organization, they are looking to solutions, strategic solutions to really shrink the CO2 footprint. And AI-based energy management automation solution has proven itself to be the fast track to address this shrinking of carbon footprint. In that sense, from Nokia EVA EE, which stands for energy efficiency, it's a solution based on AI ML that we're going to talk about it today. It's addressing exactly that, how to reduce or minimize the energy consumption by taking into consideration at the same time the network performance that we'll also address later.
Nabil, thank you for that, because I'm hearing a respectable level of urgency that operators are now facing. At one point, it was a nice to have, let's have that conversation. Now there really is time to act. So I appreciate that. Kamal, how would you add to that?
My colleagues provided some great numbers. From where I stand, so I'm based out of the US, right? So what I see is that in the US, the mobile operators are spending every year billions of dollars just for run power span. We are talking billions. So with EVA Energy solution and other types of AI ML solutions, it's possible to reduce this number by up to 30%. And this is not only giving them the ability to reduce and improve their financial performance, but it's also giving an ability to give a message to the stakeholders and to their customers in terms of sustainability. And also, by the way, research is showing that the younger generation is actually preferring the mobile operators who give strong message to the sustainability area. And we are also seeing that operators actually are committed. In Europe and in the US, we are seeing they have published existing kind of targets or milestones in terms of the carbon footprint. There are targets around 2025 up to 2035, etc. So some operators have target to be carbon neutral by 2035, for instance. And the other data point that is important to keep in mind is that RAN, radio access network, power span is about 80% of the power span for an entire operator, mobile operator. And with our capabilities, we are actually able to improve this space and directly target, and we are able to do this pretty quickly. I think these are some of the key data points that I wanna bring up. And globally, we are seeing that this is now not an optional thing to do. This has become a must do. Every time we engage with the CXOs, they are very interested in these types of capabilities that help them, I would say, triple bottom line improvements. On one hand, improve the financial performance. On the second hand, improve the sustainability goals, and finally win the customer.
Kamal, those are some pretty impressive stats. But I also think it's worth mentioning that you've mentioned in there the younger demographic is really starting to connect to this message. Considering some of the talent issues that I do believe our operator customers face, that's really compelling. So I think it's great that we're able to bring sustainability to our operator customer base. With that, I'd like to ask a different question, and maybe Kamal, let's continue with you. What are some of the categories of savings possible with AVA energy efficiency?
Absolutely. So right now with AVA Energy Efficiency, we are able to bring savings to the 4G radio access domain radio network. So in a typical cell site, we have radios as well as the system modules. And on top of that, there are a bunch of other auxiliary equipment such as cooling, batteries, power supplies, etc. So with our solution, we can instantly start savings with the 4G radio access networks, and in some cases, 5G radios as well. And on top of that, there are capabilities available today to also help save the operators in terms of the auxiliary equipment, which are cooling, battery supplies, ventilation, etc. And I think in the future, the other areas that we will be looking into are going to be in the data center, core transport as well. Those are some of the other big ticket items. But really, we have proven in the field again and again with tens of operators that we are able to bring these radio savings instantly and without impacting the user experience. It's quite impressive. And this solution is also multi-vendor. So I want to highlight that as well.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting the customer experience as well, that network performance. Nabil, if I were to move on to you, how would you talk about the savings categories?
No, thanks, Stephanie. And actually, to build on top of what Kemal said, he highlighted quite well what are the different areas of savings. But basically, when it comes to the CSPs, if we talk about the site level, there is an energy that our solution will have to save, right? So, but 50% of it is also coming from this auxiliary component that Kemal has been highlighting. In order to avoid repeating that, what I would like to stress is how with our solution we're going to support the customer to resolve one of the dilemmas. I remember when it was back in a couple of months ago in Seattle, it was public from AT&T, the network chief, that he was hoping to save around $1.6 billion. So that's quite big number. Now, operators are facing the following dilemma. You have the electricity bill that you want to really act on, but on the other side, you want to keep your end user happy, right? You want to keep the network performance. And our solution, AVA EE, what makes is really has a very robust AI algorithm that helps to keep really the network performance. So to keep it simple for the audience, when we talk about energy saving, the algorithm is monitoring all the time whatever is happening in the network. Against conventional solutions that are having fixed schedule, when it comes to by which time window we're going to shut down the network element, for instance, between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m., our solution has an algorithm that is continuously learning and identifying if there is any traffic pattern change in order to act on the network. So if there is any degradation from the network performance, our solution will just stop the algorithm. We will not act, we will not shut down, even if it's not caused by energy. So that is really important. Customers are all of them giving us a feedback. I'm fine, I'm happy due to the current situation. Regulator and governments are pushing us to save energy, but I do care about my customers, right? I don't want to end up in a situation that would trigger a churn or challenges from that nature. So I would say it's not only saving, but also taking care of the network quality and end user perception at the end of the day. Last note is with AVA EE, what customers has been also triggering the interest on other use cases that are helping really to to apply AI in ML, not only energy. It has been a good trigger for us in our NOAA, which is Nokia Open Analytics, to put or add, trigger other use cases to complement the energy and ensure that we have a robust algorithm to take care, again, and insist on the network performance and quality of experience.
Absolutely. And I do think with some of that investments out of our Bell Labs, we really do have a unique position to help solve for some of these additional use cases that can integrate these intelligence techniques. So I appreciate your bringing that up. I think we could talk probably another half hour on that. So I'll move over to Mohammed to see if you have any additional thoughts right now on these categories of savings, because it is a pretty compelling discussion.
No, absolutely. I think Kamal and Nabil actually summarize and give a very insightful views. I wanted to also build up on top of it. If you look at the way we actually address this AVA energy analytics, we put it into two steps. That means two kind of features to address the overall energy savings possibilities in our base station side. One is software-based savings, another one is this hardware-based savings, which is addressing mainly the BTS auxiliary equipments. What we do is with the soft-based savings, we actually address the operators existing network informations and took those system informations and actually build up a savings profile for each of those cells into the networks. And these informations are actually very widely available for the operator. So there is no new setups or there is no prerequisite is actually needed. The system information is there, and based on that, we can start to provide back the savings profile to the customer. So that is the reason I would say that in many of our customers, they're actually in different stage of their digitalization journey. And if we start today, we can already provide some savings profile or savings benefit for our customers today. And that is the reason I wanted to stress again that always it is better to take a stepwise approach. We started to say what we have today, and then we build up and expand with multiple other features, which is actually will be bringing much more benefit for our customers. So this is what I wanted to stress.
No, I appreciate that. It actually brings us into the next question quite well, because we've kind of highlighted some of the challenges around integrating solutions like this, but then even backing out to think about how operators have been undergoing digital transformation for almost a decade now. Some of the challenges you just highlighted go exactly to that when it comes specific to AVA EE. We really do have a bit of a sense of urgency. So understanding that cost savings as quickly as possible is critical. So with that, Nabil, I'd love to ask you, how quickly do you believe CSPs are going to start saving with AVA energy efficiency?
Actually, let me say they've started saving, right? Which are the good news. We had a tremendous momentum on this area. A couple of weeks ago, when we had the TM Forum in Copenhagen, we got a couple of awards on AI ML, so which give us the real fact that we know how to apply AI and ML in this area. I always say automation is dangerous, but in this case, we have, as we mentioned, very robust algorithm, and I'm happy to share that we have around 30 projects around the world. So this solution started a couple of years ago, which means we have quite robust, as I mentioned, and well-trained algorithm. Having said that, this experience help us to really be flexible and adapt to the customer requirements. So we talk about 4 weeks from the data pipeline is established. Then we make the installation, we go through all the processes from the customer, then we are in a position to train a bit, adapt that algorithm to certain country and market or customer, then we'll be able to provide those savings. Actually, it depends, and this is one of our differentiator. We customize the delivery model or the rollout approach according to the customer need, right? So I was recently talking to a customer in Switzerland, and they have completely different concerns from a customer in Mexico. So we really have taken into consideration that, but from the operationalization, I would say, of the use case, it's quite simple. 4 to 6 weeks in a cluster, we select a geographical area that we can show some confidence to the customer. we are happy to also be in very transparent way telling them, how are the commands will act on the network element and really make them part of the process. And yeah, so I would say it's quite simple and flexible process, and based on the experience, 4 weeks to 6 weeks is the time frame that we are managing to be already up and running.
That's really interesting, especially because you highlighted some of the customization you can do per operator, per region. So I appreciate that. Thanks. Mohammed, if I were to turn it back to you, how do you feel about that, the savings and the timing?
Absolutely. If you look at this, how do we actually, Nabil was stating that this is 4 to 6 weeks. And absolutely, this is quite fastest approach to introduce. How do we do that? As because the way we